Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Indices. Just before we start, I want to talk about the Elliott Wave Algo and the AI updates for our charting program here. So now we've got a lot of intraday data from different markets around the world in this, so you should be able to find what you're looking for. We've also got dark and light functionality here now. So in terms of the AI situation here, if we were looking at the SPX here, I'll just click the the count button here. So now we've got intraday counts in here, as well as some intraday trade ideas for this. So this will just print out here for this. So we've got, I'll just get this happening here first. So just to, and you can also sort of drill in and ask questions about this as well within the AI here as well. So we've got for the SPX, the S&P here, we've got the primary count here for today's date. The intraday Elliott wave count here as well, and the wave structure, trade ideas, and risk management. So you can just type in more information to ask it further questions as well. So that's there, and as I mentioned, we've done a lot of other functionality in here as well. So we're working on the dark side of it as well at the moment. So some more, some huge improvements in everything. So I hope you can just enjoy that, and it's more of a learning tool, all of this, to sort of give you ideas, because if you've got three ideas in front of you, you can kind of examine them, because you might not have thought about the second idea or the third idea. So you can start examining them and seeing what sort of works, and then you can always go into the chat lounge and ask any of our analysts that specialize in that particular market to have their 2 cents worth on that as well. Okay. So instead of starting with the S&P today, I just thought I would start on Apple, because Apple's obviously, folks know they've integrated AI into their products, and so this is the big account here, and I find it kind of interesting, really, because basically with the S&P, we're also heading up to this primary wave 3 up here. Now, don't pay any attention, it may not go that far and all those sort of things, but basically between wave 2 and wave 3, we're looking for 5 waves. Now, most times we would see the extension in the third wave that we're sort of seeing now, so we're pretty much sort of on track here for this, but we're still this market is still lagging what we're seeing in the NASDAQ and the S&P, because of NVIDIA and really some of the other markets as well, like Meta Platforms, that sort of took off early and sort of gave the indices a bit of a boost, but they kind of all sort of herd in the same direction across the paddock, so to speak, and so it's good to see that this making a move now in that space. So if we look at, so first of all, I mean, we're in a big bullish market. You can sort of, that confirms that for these. We'll also have a bit of a look at Microsoft as well. My platform's just resetting. Must be 8 o'clock here. Yeah. So in the morning in Blue Mountains, New South Wales, Australia. So so we're looking from wave 2 here all the way up to primary wave 3. So will we be up at 300? I don't know. Don't worry about that too much. We'll be up there somewhere. So we're basically looking for wave 2 here as 1 and 2, and then a series of 1s and 2s. I'm not going to go into the into the intraday at this point, but just to give you a bit of an idea, because it's going to be a driving factor in the market. And we're also seeing other stocks too. We're seeing Tesla lift off its low because of this. This is Microsoft here. So from, we'll look at this wave 4 in the S&P and also the NASDAQ as well, but we're looking at 1 and 2 here, and then we've got to kind of decipher this particular move here that's going into a third wave to the upside. So most of the markets are doing this in their odd way. I mean, some of them look a little bit sort of odd, like Amazon's a little bit sort of odd. I'll just take it out of this intraday, this 100 ticks here. I think if you're trading the indices, it's good to sort of understand where the power's coming from and so on. And so this is wave 4 here with wave 1 and 2. And in this case, 1 and 2 we're looking here. We've got sort of a reasonable 5 waves, just trying to decipher this now. But impulsive all the same. So this is a little bit weird. Some markets take their time, and some move and then some stay still, and some just sort of creep along, and they're all doing all different things. So when we had a look at those markets, we're picking it up from this wave 4 here, and that's the same if I bring this back across here for the Microsoft, the wave 4 here, and the same with the the Amazon, the wave 4 here, and going up for wave 1 and so on. So you kind of get the picture. It's not that all markets are in that thing, but most of them can be sort of played into that. All the big tech stocks, FANG stocks can be, except Tesla's doing something completely different, but it is lifting off its low, so I think the low is in for that as well. So we're really picking up off this wave 4 here, and nothing's really changed. We've just been trying to decipher this particular move up here. What's the best way to count it? And since Apple's sort of taken off, it's sort of moved everything along a little bit. But it's this wave 3 that we're looking for up here. Primary wave 3, 4, 5 for 1. Don't know where that one's going to be. Doesn't really matter at this point, but we are bullish, and I mean, that's obvious now, isn't it? But yeah, so that's on the weekly, and if we go into the daily here and pick it up from this wave 4 here, so those other stocks that we looked at here, just to go back a little bit, like Amazon here, this wave 1 here, and Microsoft is wave 1 here and 2 here, and this sort of thing, so we've got to kind of tie in, from this wave 4 with the S&P here. It's probably likely, it's not the best looking way to do this, but it's probably the best fit in terms of bringing it in line with well, it's not really bringing it in line, because it is the tech stocks that are creating these averages here, these indexes. So to look at this as wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, it's probably it's not the best looking thing here, because as I've mentioned before, we can view this here quite easily as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then going up for 5 here, and then having that as 1 and 2. But the problem with that is it kind of puts it behind the 8 ball, with all the other markets, with the markets that are creating this, as I've just sort of shown, so to have this 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in play, it's pretty much, what we're sort of looking at. So yeah, we should be driving higher. And if you understand the trading levels, the Fibonacci is a price ratio over here, then you'll know that this is major level 5 here, and group 1, minor group 1 sitting on 3 here. You can see quite now that really, we've got a nice support here, and we've got a bit of a classic trading levels pattern here, and we're moving off from here. Basically, it's just trying to find support from the old high here, so I mean, Bitcoin's trying to do the same as well in its own way, at the the 69 high and the 69 high, and correcting here. It hasn't sort of moved off yet, but it's moving. It's got its first 5 waves up as well. So you can have a look in the tech stocks for that. But yeah, so that's sort of where we are really. So the next real main number up here is the 500 here, the 5,500. The five to me is the 1 is the strongest number in the market, and then 5, then 3 and 8 are there as well, and so on. So expect some type of corrective move across the 500 here. That said, because we're in, we could also look at this move here as a little wave 1 and 2 in here now as well. So it may not, because of where we are in the structure of the third of the third of the third, it may not spend a lot of time here, but it should still navigate across it, in some sort of little pattern. So normally I'd look at this particular pattern where it drops back below here, but it may not drop back below here. It might give us the variation on this pattern, which might be something like this. But in both cases, just be aware that you've got that high and look for the second high for another entry in at that point there. So this high, and there's always this one over here if it drops below. But because it could be a little bit parabolic, it may not be the case. So it might end up being this. So just be a little bit mindful about that. Let's just go to the intraday now. I've waffled on so long. So picking it up from... let's just go back here a little bit. We need to pick it up from oh sorry, wrong one. Here I want to pick it up from still further across. I just want to pick it up from that wave 4, so 2k should get us in here. Anyway, it's back down in here, that wave 4. So we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and then we're looking at this as wave 1 and 2. Now this is a little bit debatable here. It's quite easy to push this wave 1 up to here as well. But in terms of what I'm seeing in the market from the stocks, this is probably the better fit here. So we've got wave 2 here, and then wave 1 and wave 2. And then we've got these 5 waves up here. There can be an A and a B and a C, and this could drop over to here, and it could also drop back down here a bit in the Asian session. But because these markets have moved up, Asia's going to when New Zealand opens, and Sydney and Japan and so on and so on, and yeah, the bond market should be, the dollar's dropped. Yeah, the dollar's dropped. So. Yeah, I just think about the bond market because of the carry trade. Everybody's racing around the world looking for each other. Anyway, that's another story. So, but basically, that's sort of where we are with this. So, you can build in long again up here. You could probably, if that pushes down, leaves that high there, then you can go long here and all that sort of stuff, Okay, so that is the S&P. Sorry to be so long on that, but it kind of sets the tone for everything else. So the SPY here, if we look at this wave 4 here, that's what I was looking for before, we can look at this as 1 and 2 here, and squashing it in here a bit as 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 here. Now, I do understand that it looks better if we put this wave 1 up here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get it. We'll just see how far it pulls back. In this case here, we can, I could even sort of push this across here and have an A and a B and a C, but it is the high here, so I'll just leave it here, and it can drop back down here, but we'll just see. But it does leave this top here exposed, and that's like a little impulse wave there. You could probably just bring that back down to there, but it's going to gap on when it opens anyway. So it could pull back to the 50-60%, down in here a bit deeper, so just be a bit mindful of that. But see what the momentum is around as the world spins, as Asia closes and Europe opens and all of that sort of stuff, see where the wave count is. But that's the SPY, and we come over to, this is the QQQ. So we were looking at this here in 2 ways. We were looking at it as wave 3 and 4 here, and going up for wave 5 of wave 1 here. But I don't think that's going to be the case, so we'll put, I'll just move these out of the way, put this wave 1 here, and we could use these up here later. So, whoops-a-daisy. So 3 and 4 and 5 here. So we could use that as a wave 3 later. So 1 and 2 in here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to look at this. I can see that we could look at it as wave 3, 4, 5 up here for this. So it does bring us into the case of you know, which wave won, this one or this one here, you know, that's the thing. So we'll see. But once again, if you wanted to go along here, it's really just going along above here. It's safer to go above the top there in just case it pulls back down. But yeah, it could go straight up from there, or we could get a move like this and then go up. And worst case scenario, then all of this here becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. And in that case, we'd probably come down and cover the gap a bit further and then push up. So it's not a big deal if you're trading ETFs at this point. Yeah, just buying the dip really. So that's all pretty simple. And the NASDAQ here, so just on the daily chart, this is the preferred count where we're looking at wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and pushing up. So we've been tracking two counts on this, but I'll just see here on the 20k, I'll just stay with this one. I won't look at the alternative today. So we've got wave 1 here and 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 1 and 2 here. I could probably even squeeze that in there, you know, as a 1 and 2 into here. But either way, it's going to be pulled up to the 20,000, so it's all pretty easy. So we're going from 1, 2, and then there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for the third wave, and then the fourth wave and the fifth wave. So we're going from wave 2 here, we're going up to wave 3 up here. So we still need 4 and 5 in there, but anyway, you get the picture. It's not your first rodeo. And then also too, we've got in here, we've got the minor level 1 here and 2 and 3. So that makes, I mean, it looks really huge here, but that's just minor group 1 at that point, right? So, and between this 20 here and 21 here, we'll have the Fibonacci sequence of 1, 2, 3, 5 and 8, and we can put in group 2 here as well, which will be 650 roughly, get it in there somewhere, and then the 72 in here at 720, close enough for the time being. I'll fix it up later, but that will give you something to work from here, you know, so that can come up into this space here, and this will give you the first instance here of group 1 and group 2 here. So I will turn that one, normally turn that a bit of a slightly different color just to give us some variation. So what you can kind of expect in this group 2 here is you can expect some sort of consolidation in here, and then that will become the support for the first can swing over here in this consolidation. But that's where we are for the NASI, so looking good, and all the tech stocks are sort of doing all the right things at the moment, so you can have a look at that video and get a better feel for what's going on. Pretty much risk on for everything. That's the NASI, and then we've got the Russell here, so we can look at this now as being obviously finished here. We're looking, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to gap like that, so unfortunately, but we've got 1 and 2 here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 here. So basically all of that, the third wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 and 5. I mean, easy in hindsight, isn't it? But it was all messy and stuff before, so we just wanted to wait, didn't we? But, you know, you can just go in and buy it now if you wish, you know, because this is, we'll look at this as, can I put that as wave 1? Maybe. We'll just give that a bit of thought there. But see the same thing again here, as at least as this 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 here now. So I'll just grab that. I might need to do that a bit more. So you could basically buy it there. If you wanted to sort of do it with a little bit more care, then the 205 for this is an ETF here. So a little classic trading levels pattern on the 205 would help suffice that, and you can figure out the ABC for this as well. It might drop down a little bit more in here. You can look at the 50-60% and all that sort of stuff, the little pocket that we use, which is way down lower. So that's the worst pretty much the worst case scenario here. But we, like we said yesterday and the day before, is that this market's going to pop when the when the indices go through their move to the upside that we were looking at. So yeah, I don't know. You could just go long above these. You could just buy it now and hold a bit of heat here. The stop would definitely need to go here, but I don't see any problem with this at this point. So we can remove that there and that. So I'll put a green line, just put a green line there for that. But you could buy it earlier than that. And that's the Russell. And then the European market. So with the DAX here, yesterday we were looking at it in different ways, weren't we? And the way that I sort of felt most comfortable about the situation was really about having the wave 4 in line with this wave 4 in line with the S&P 500, really, you know. So that means that looking at it, having this wave 4 here, now it would put the DAX here behind, you know, it would put it like, you know, a month behind here. So the only other way there's a couple of ways we could look at this. So let's just go in and look at it. So I'm just going to clean this up here. So what we want at the end of the day is we want this wave 5 here of wave 3, wherever that's going to be, for the S&P and this market to get there at the same time. That's the objective of it. Now the question is do we put this here or do we put it over here? Do we look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here? It's pretty ugly for a wave 2, I get it. And we also got to tie it in with the English market as well. So the English market, is the FTSE's got wave 4. You know, we're looking for wave 4. It can be here. It could do something also a little bit weird here as well, because it doesn't really give a good 5 waves down here. It's more like a B wave. So we could get a C wave here and then this and then up there as well. But we'll look at that in a moment. But basically, definitely a wave 4 on that low. So do we put the wave 4 onto this low here? So there's different ways to look at it. I couldn't actually, you know, still haven't actually got it sort of figured out. If I put it here, then obviously we're a month behind the S&P. If I put it here, for instance, and looked at this here as wave 1 and 2 here, and then looked at this here as wave 1, sorry, wrong, wave 1 here, let me just fix that up, as this wave 1 and 2 here, then that would put it in sync with this market, with this 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. But to have it like that, it just doesn't quite look right. It's nothing. Just technically, it's fine. It's just that wave 2, you know, this wave 1 up here will say 1, 2, 3 days. This is really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. It's possible. So let's just go in from 1 week to 1 day and have a look at that. So this is the other way that we looked at it, was having wave 4 here. It's okay, I can sort of work it like that. Let's just move into so either we got wave 4 here, right? That's one way to look at it. And the intraday here, that's pretty much the same on this one. I'll just have a look at 10. That's putting primary wave 3 here. So that's just not going to sort of do it really. But what we could do here, I know this is wrong, so we can just leave it, and I could put this up here. We'll just run this count here. We'll just kind of talk about it a bit, you know, as we go, because we want, you know, we want all the tech stocks, and they'll all finish up here the same on this primary wave 5 of primary 3 here. So the question here now is, do we put this here as 1 and 2 here? So it'd be good to get folks' opinions. Just go into the chat lounge and put your opinion there. I mean, it's quite big for a wave 2, isn't it? But it does put it in the right timing of things, you know, which is interesting. The other way to look at this too is looking at this here as, you know, as wave 1 here, and copying this here for wave 2, and then 3, 4 here. That's how we've got it at this stage. but I'm not that happy with that either. Maybe I could use this one over here to do that. This was looking at it a bit differently. This was looking at wave 1 and 2 here. This is also doable at this point. So as you can see, I'm not sure. I haven't really settled in on something. So if anybody can help me out and got some ideas, that would be great. I haven't, I did have a bit of a look around at the DAX. The DAX, big stocks, Deutsche Bank and not so much Deutsche Bank, the Frankfurt Deutsche Börse, and Siemens and a few others. But yeah, the main point now is that we've got this. We're getting 5 waves up here now, right? So didn't mean to delete that. So we can look at this as 1 and 2 to the upside here at least. I'm just going to go to the 5k tick there. So 1k tick. And we need to look at this. So let's just get some more data in. So this is the pattern here, and I've had it as wave 4 for a long time, and we've had it over here, and I think we could have even had it here because it made a nice ABC pattern, and then it got butt ugly here, and so anyway, I haven't got it figured out. I don't have all the answers for this. Okay, so but this here is simple enough. I think we'll just go in there. We're talking about being long above this here, so maybe you're long, and that's great. So let's just play this out here a little bit. I will just do it this way. This will be the first draft. Don't go throwing stuff at me yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like. Let me just get these in here. 2, 3. We need a 4 somewhere, and a 5, and I'll just do an A. And yeah, so let's just look at this here. If I look at this as 1 and 2 here, 1 and 2, do we put the wave 3 here? Is there any other way? 1, 2, 3, 4. I could look at it 1, 2. Looks a bit like that, doesn't it? I think it's a bit more like that. I'm just going to bring these out of the way. Don't need them just yet. So if you're long at the moment, then just being over here would be fine at the moment. The next long trade, if you're not long already, let's just imagine that you got long in here somewhere. I won't use that one, just so I know where we can do things. But the next one here really is in group 2 here somewhere. But what you've got to try to do is you've got to find support, because group 2 is 65, 72 and here. So if it gets support in here, which it will, this is a corrective pattern, so it'll make a new high here. But what you're looking for is that first little high in here. It'll come in here somewhere, and then it'll pull back, and then it'll try to get in there again, and eventually get in there, and do the same thing up here, and you can build on here if you wish, and that sort of thing. So basically you want to kind of get the first high and try to get the second high here, and then you should be okay at that point. So the next long trade is 18,650 as a tested support. So this is a bit of a classic trading levels pattern, because you got the arrival, the reaction, you're looking for the first high above the level, then the ABC. But what you also need to be aware of is that the reaction here for the size of the trend here is really, well, it's a decent size. So this is also, corrections are emotional, but they're also accumulation processes as well. So it doesn't have to pull back down here very much at all, if at all, So just wait for the top, and you'll only know the top's in because it's come back to check the 650 here, the 18,650. So, and then you might get the second one here. So try to find your way in. and less is more. So a very small position with a wide stop is fine. Once that becomes the support there, then we can move the stop up to this point. But we just got to be careful we don't get this as a wave 5 and have an ABC back here. I don't think it's the case. It's got to sort out that there. That could be 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this one over here might have something to do with it as well as the ABC, so that kind of makes it a bit better. I think I really feel like I've got to squash this in here in some way, you know, that's what I'm sort of thinking. Anyway, it'll just grow through here. Once it's in here, it's not going to look back, it'll just be going up at that point. And you also want to kind of, if you're a short-term trader, you want to be building in on top of the 72 there or the 700. But you can't move your stop up to here, right? You can keep it under here, and the stop here really just needs to be the first low below the level here, and then put the stop under there. Once the market comes into here, you can't move your stop until the next level or group has become the support. That's just the way it is. Otherwise, you're going to get stopped out. You'll just be what you call in, you know, it'll be a fearful stop, and you know, like attracts like, so you'll be kicked out. Okay, so that's the DAX. Sorry for such a long tour on that. So the FTSE here, I reckon we got to put the low in here. You know, even though it hasn't come, there may be the possibility of a move up and then a move down, but I doubt it. But there is space for that to occur. But it's a little bit, kind of, the low reminds me of Tesla a little bit, because with Tesla here, we had this, you know, we're looking at one here, and then we're looking at all of this. You know, today I put it into a triangle pattern as an A, B, C, D, and E here for that. And you know, we're looking to go long at this. We can put this over here and all this sort of stuff, but it hasn't finished off very well. That's all I'm sort of saying. But we've got a nice little impulse wave here, so we can look to push up, and it might even just push up from here. But the thing is, we've got to build on top of the 180, but it's like we've got a low in. So this messy concoction here, right, just sort of reminds me of the FTSE here in this little area here. So let's just go in here and look at it on a intraday basis. So let's get a bit more data in. So we've got wave 3 at the top, and we've been looking for wave 4, and we thought we may have had wave 4 over here, but this could be counted corrective, and it could also be counted as an impulse wave. And then we got all of this stuff here, and we looked at this as 5 waves here, 1 and 2, and possibly 1 and 2, and 1 and 2 here and down. But we just didn't get down, and like Tesla, we've got this nice little 5 waves up here, so now we can go long. You probably bring that down to here as well. You'll need to keep the stop out of the way just for the time being, and we'll look at that a bit later. And we also want to be looking to add on the next level up here. You can also add on the 250 here if you wish as well. So between 200, the midpoint's going to be really important, next level of supply. So if you wanted to, you know, get stuck into it, then this building in at the beginning of the trend is fine, because what will happen here is that we'll be looking at this as 1 and 2, and then there's going to be 3, 4, and 5 here, and then we're going to have some sort of corrective move, and then we're going to go up again. So building in here is, you know, what it's really about at this point. And looking at this as 1 and 2, I could probably drop that a degree, but it'll do for the time being. The main point here that I wanted to talk about, though, is that from wave B down to wave C here, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because we've got 3 waves in here, you know. So yeah, there's lots of problems with counting it as an A and a B and a C here. But at the same time, we could WXY, and that would sort of solve the problem. But it doesn't really matter at this point. We've got our impulse wave here, and we should be pushing higher. So we're going to call that wave 4 low in at this point, and then we can come over to the Aussie market. And we want to talk about the intraday picture and the bigger picture here. First of all, we were looking at this as wave 1 and 2, and then wave 1 and 2 yesterday. And now we can look at this here as 1 and 2 and 3, 4 here. So if we get 5 up here, that's going to give us 5 waves up here, right? And then we'll have some sort of ABC pattern here, and then we'll push up here further. So if we, because at the moment this would be an ABC pattern here, so that means that it can just come down from that point. I don't think that will be the case because the dollar dropped, which will push the commodities up, which will support the, which will be supporting the XJO. The XJO is just banks and materials sector really, but banks dominated by more volume, and yeah, so we should see that push up there. So getting support on the 78 with a classic trading levels pattern is really what you're looking at here. The arrival, a little bit of a move, first high above the level, that's your reference point, and then just, you know, come down on top of that in due course. So that's really what you're looking at here to look to go long. Even taking the top out there, you could go long, because I don't think the pullback in here is going to be much at all, you know. I think it's going to be quite small based on what I can see what's going on. So I can remove that, and it's long all day long really. But I just do want to have a look at the bigger picture as well in a moment, which we did yesterday. But my odd looking wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 puts it in line with the rest of the US indices and so on, which is a good thing. So we've been looking at this on the daily chart as this here. Let's put this back over here. So we've been looking at wave 3 and 4, and then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So you can see how it fits in with the S&P and the NASDAQ and all of that. I'm going up to primary wave 3 here and 4. So we should have a nice run here. Obviously the 8's going to give us a bit of grief, and it's going to be a bit tight there, but yeah, so there's this here, and because it doesn't count very well here, this counts in 3, you could count this in 3, you could count this in 3, you can count that in 3, and so on. So we'd also been looking at this here in a completely different way, with wave 4 being over here, and it's this here in a triangle pattern here, but it does put it out of sync with the US market, but in a way it keeps it in sync with the English market, because if I go back to the English market, let me just find the FTSE here for a moment, and we go back to the it doesn't matter too much. Go back to the daily chart here for a moment, and if I come back over here, and you know this thing here where this doesn't really count down nicely as 5 waves, so it can be down for the A wave here, and then an A and a B and a C wave up here, right, some sort of 5 wave structure, and then come back down here for this, so the A wave and A, B, C for the B wave and down for the C wave. It will put it way out of whack and things, but just it's good to have a look at the alternative count. So if that was the case, then for this to finish off here, to have this E wave of wave 4 here, so wave 3 with an A, B, C, D, sorry, A, B, and an A, B, C here for the C wave here and the D wave. Maybe I could rearrange that a bit better. Anyway, if it comes back down, this is what we're looking at. But any support on top of that 78 here, like a 5 wave move up here, and then we're good to go. So it'll be risk on. And if we're risk on here, then we're going to see, if we just have a look at Combank for a moment, we talked about this being 1 and 2 here. I'll just come back onto the daily chart here for a moment, and this means Westpac and all the rest of it as well. So this actually creates, I've got the portfolio data working again now, so we'll be putting, I'll be working with Shane to put out long trades for the Australian market and the US market. I had data problems, so I got them fixed, but so this will be something like this here. But this also would ignite Westpac as well. So, and I think ANZ's going to be a good long-term trend as well. I'll just see if I can find Westpac here for a moment. I don't have it labelled, but here we go. Westpac, I do have it labelled. Yeah, we did talk about it. See this little impulse wave here? So I'm tempted to go on to top of this one here, but this one here would clarify that top there. So if I'll just take that off there and put this, see that looks like a little B wave here, doesn't it? That's the trick there. So, but taking that top out there would solve that problem. So 26.90, 90, you can go 95, but it's better to go 96. Just to, because 5 is the second strongest number, so all the orders will build up at 5. So if you go at 6 or 7, it will clean out of the market depth. It will clean all that supply out for you and make a safer trade. And of course, the stop can just go under here. If that gets triggered, the stop can just go here at first thing. And yes, you could put the stop here much closer and all the rest of it, and you get more bang for your buck at that terms. But the safer way to go, safety first, is that if that does get triggered, then you can move the stop here and then you've halved your risk, which is another way to think about it. You know, it's either, you know, because greed, as they say, you know, get you sort of slaughtered a bit, but safety first, and less is more, all that kind of language is more sensible. Alrighty, enough waffling. So, another long video, sorry about that, but I think it was all worthwhile. So, alrighty, cheers.